This is once again, now we're
The
live.
stream is live. There we go. All right. Welcome, everybody. We continue to experiment. So, and offering lots of bloopers for everybody with our are we live?
Are
We
we
not?
live? Are we
What?
live? I think this time we really got it though. So I'm really excited about this.
Yeah. So theoretically,
No, don't even look. Don't look around.
oh
It's
no,
happening.
it is live because I was hearing my echo because I had this logged into YouTube. I was logged into YouTube to make sure, and yes, it's live on YouTube. So I was hearing myself. So there we go. All right,
We got there.
welcome everybody. Hello, Karen. Happy Friday.
Hi, happy Friday for sure. So it's a good day today. It's my firstborn's birthday. So I became a mother 24 years ago today. So this is a good day for me. I feel happy today. Well, we just got a high also. Lenny, the system is so working. We just got a high. That means, and somebody shared on LinkedIn high. So we can actually see your posts on LinkedIn. I don't know that we can comment. That's feels like 2.0 for us. But the fact that we could see what somebody just said, that means it's working.
Yeah. So Harshit, thank you. I see that now.
Cool.
All right, we're going to get the goal is to get to the point where we are interacting with our audience live. This new platform should allow us to do that, but baby steps, guys.
For real. We have a lot to talk about today, though. So we're going to keep our eye on the chat over here. Yes. And if anybody wants to kind of add in, chime in, certainly we're going to welcome comments in just a moment. Oh my gosh. So there's Timothy Lynch saying, yay, it's live and working great. So can we just say before we do anything else, thank you for working out these kinks, Carly and Natalie and Jasmine. Lenny and I are grateful because we totally trusted that they were going to do this for us. And anyway, so shout out to the team because yay. Okay, so everybody knows we weren't here last week because they were paying attention, and we weren't here last week because we were deeply engaged in our own event, iiex.ai. So that's where we were, and I figured let's just start off there talking about that event. I know what my kind of favorite session of the whole 2 days was. Lenny, how about you? Kind of what was your takeaway from our event last week?
I didn't attend it nearly as much as I wanted to, as you know, but I know that the feedback that I've monitored, which is probably more valuable, was that the comment to the effect of this was the most impactful, deepest AI focused event so far. So great. We appreciate that. We know there's been a lot. And that kudos to you, Karen, for curating that content. I mean, that was the goal, was to, all right, let's think about what people are doing, not just what people can do. Although that was certainly a piece of it. So I think the feedback was great. My understanding was it was the most well-attended virtual event that we have had since 2020.
Right, exactly. I mean, hundreds and hundreds of people joined live, which was really exciting. Sometimes when you do a virtual event, you have a lot of registrants, but people can't attend last minute. But seeing how many people were there live, it was pretty exciting. So, thanks.
Thanks, JC.
I love that we can see real time. So, listen, I'm going to say that my favorite session of the entire event was Mastering Prompts with Dan Wasserman. And, if you don't know Dan, go find him on LinkedIn because he just also posted a recap today of his kind of key takeaways, but he was really engaged and also just shared with us some frameworks for prompting, for writing prompts, creating prompts, how to get just even at a basic level ChatGPT to work for you, and also how to get it to do tasks that were very specific and relevant to our industry. It was a really great session. So if you can access that, and you didn't get a chance to do it live, it was really worth doing. And he also shared his deck, which has some good recap there. I mean, that is one that I have already turned to that deck. It is probably the most usable workshop handouts I've ever received because within a week I'm already accessing that deck. So hats off to Dan. Really good stuff. And our town hall was great. We missed you at the town hall, of course.
Miss being there. So I think this seems to be where we're going now, is the much more pragmatic, we're here, as we all know. The hype cycle is not going to end, but it is settling down into pragmatic applications, and everybody just going along with that. There's still big issues to resolve, all of that good stuff. But that does seem to be the read on where we are.
Yeah. And it was funny because last week then I had also had seen that article in Fast Company, and it caught my eye, right? It was AI will end the modern insights department and make room for something better. So it showed up in my feed and I got really excited to read it. And then of course I find out it was written by Ryan Barry. And I'm like, oh, of course that's who's writing this article in Fast Company. So shout out for great article placement. But what I loved about it, you get when you read and we'll share this link, when you get to that article, it says like in the very last paragraph, are you decoupling data collection from thinking? Because you should be. And I loved that. It was such an astute way of saying, like, we may be leaning into AI for a lot of our needs, but it's not doing the thinking for us. We have to be smarter, and we have to be more, you and I have talked more consultative, and we have to be more kind of aligned with what are the recommendations, what are the right questions. And that was a theme also at our event, is asking the right questions has never been more important. So really cool article, kind of putting an exclamation point on everything we talked about in the last 2 days of that event.
Yeah. And yeah, it's interesting. I don't think we knew what the missing piece was to get to that end state until AI, right? Yeah. And it has been that, yeah, they may never been coupled. We're looking at the chat. Sure. That's fun. We've been saying it for years, right? Yeah. Data collection it's a process. The industry was built on owning that as a cost plus model. The consultation is a different thing. So we've seen this bifurcation, and it's really clear too. Shout out in the upcoming GRIT data. The GRIT report, it's done, guys. It's done. We're just going through edits now and getting ready to publish.
We'll be talking about that soon.
We will be talking about that soon. We'll be doing a good debrief, just as we're going to in a few minutes on another report. But the
alert.
Yeah, but that bifurcation, it's just there. It's the way that it is. It doesn't mean the traditional market research model is dead, but it does mean that we probably need to be thinking about ways to generate more value outside of just data collection. Data collection is a viable and growing business. It is that there's no doubt about it. Yeah. The data enablement which means analytics, is a growing and viable business.
Yeah.
Consultation, what do we do with this information, is a growing and viable business. Yeah. But they are disconnected, right, in terms of the types of businesses that we are seeing. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Anyway, super cool. For those of you viewing on YouTube right now, I was able to share that link to that article directly on YouTube. I can't share it directly on LinkedIn, so we'll have to retroactively have Carly go in and share that link, or Natalie, or whoever's going to do that. So we'll get to that link to that article. But I think probably for the sake of time, Lenny, it's time to move on to the next topic today, which is really like, you couldn't exist in Insights this week and not be thinking about SMR. It's just like, all right. So they come out with their big report. They have their Congress in Amsterdam, and then they also, kind of publicized their framework in collaboration with the global data quality effort that's going on. So starting with Congress, what's your take? Because we were not there. I was not there. You were not there. Our colleagues were. Dana and Kevin were. But what's your boots on the ground take on what happened over in Amsterdam this week?
I think it was great. I mean, first, congratulations to our friends at SMR. We love many of the folks there, and are good friends with many of them over the years, and we have a good collaborative relationship with them. So it was great to see them have a good, well attended. Because the past couple of years of COVID, right? I mean, it was back. It was back like it always had been. So, and that's fantastic for the industry as a whole. Of course, we love the location, the Garage, right? We do like that location. They have good taste in their facility. That's where we always have IAX Europe. It's a great facility, but it just seemed really good. All of the feedback that I was seeing, great presentations, smart people talking about doing great things, and looked like they're having a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And that's usually important too. So it seemed like a celebration,
Yeah.
and great. Just
Yeah.
really really happy for everybody who attended. Really happy for them that it was a great show. We know
Yeah.
what it's like to put on a show of that size. It's not an easy thing. So
Right.
hats off to everybody for pulling it off and making it look just so wonderful for everyone.
Yeah. 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 It's cool. I know. I wished I was there. So, and they've announced where they're going to be next year. So,
Yep, Athens.
yeah. So that's really exciting also. I'm sure, right about now, Dana is already planning his trip. I would be planning the trip already is all I'm saying. So,
Right. Yeah.
so fun location. So yeah, so that was happening, but let's get to this report because
Yes.
I think that if you haven't seen the report, it's their Global Insights Overview. It's free for members, not so free for non-members. I'm not doing the exchange rate. So it's like,
Right.
you can look it up. You can go to that site. But there's a lot going on. First of all, there's 3 different editions. And I just think that we started having internal chatter here at Green Book about it and what it says. So I probably want to start there, Lenny, from that global market research, the initial sort of section of it's a report. Why don't you, let me take a step back. Why don't you give the overview of the report in 3 sections, if you will, the 3 different parts? Because that took me a hot second to figure out.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, it appears they've broken up what was the global market research report into 3. Which is the global market research, global users and buyers of insights, and global data analytics.
Yeah.
And we've experimented with that with grid over the years as well. There's certainly times that you have so much information, you think this deserves its own report. We'll see whether,
Yeah.
That continues. But I think the one that is most everybody looks forward to, myself included, is the global market research report. It is looking at 2022 data on growth of the sector.
Yeah.
And it has, there's lots of breakdowns. It's where the top 50, global top 50 report comes from. And, it's been interesting to watch as over the years, like many of us in the industry that or industry watchers, trying to get a handle on, well, what exactly is the insights and analytics industry? Who fits, who doesn't? And we can all quibble about which companies should be included and should not be included.
Yeah.
I don't even want to get into that because I know how much work that they've done in having a working framework.
Yeah.
And it is still the only source that exists in the world that gives us a good sense of year on year changes in market size.
Yeah.
So this is what investors use. This is what private equity uses. This is what I use in the consulting practice on Gen 2 when we're looking at market sizing.
Yeah.
It is simply the best source for looking at that.
Yeah.
Now that story, that's kind of what I dive into. It's great for looking at. They break down by geography, but they also break down by market, by qual versus quant, by category, spend. All of those things are incredibly important. The biggest one, though, that I glom onto is the subsectors within the definition of the industry and what does their growth look like.
Right.
The key takeaway in my mind is that what we think of as the traditional market research industry, that's not where the growth is.
Yeah.
No surprise, the growth is in technology, analytics, and consulting, with the leader being technology.
Yeah.
So, and where they have surpassed. So if you combine those numbers together, these groupings, that kind of new definition of research, the technology-driven research, has eclipsed the traditional market research in terms of share of global turnover.
Yeah.
So, and again, I think people take pot shots on, the industry's not really that big because this doesn't belong and that doesn't belong. And Okay, maybe not.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, uh, but that level of detail does tell the real story, and which is where the growth is coming from overall.
Right.
And
Right.
I think that's hugely important to recognize. There are new entrants. We see it in grid as well. We see the confusion: is this company a buyer or a supplier? And often they're both. Uh, Examples would be Gartner, Deloitte,
Yeah.
Bain, right, on the consulting side,
Yeah.
Google, Salesforce.
Yeah.
You know, and we're all trying to grapple with what that looks like and what that share of revenue contribution looks like within the market. And but we've been here for a few years,
Right.
and they continue to track that. Grit continues to track that in a different way to try and understand what those things look like, so we can all have an understanding that the bottom line is we're in a growing industry.
Yeah.
But where the growth is coming from is not where the growth used to come from.
Right. Well, and I want to take everything that you just said and share it with, like, one of my takeaways when I looked at all three reports, and I looked very high level at them because I'm not quite the data nerd that you are. So owning that. So the global users and buyers of insights, that particular report, one of the things that it said in the kind of upfront section was, the present report shows how today almost half of all research projects are conducted internally. I find that really interesting. If you couple that with, from the other report talking about the growth in ResTech, and I keep thinking, if I am on the brand side, I need to know who all those ResTech players are. If I'm also doing this work internally, I need to know who my tech partners are going to be to continue to do this work internally. So anyway, I just found it really interesting to think about, whereas, back in the day, there was a lot of reliance on that full service supplier to handle it all. And if that full service supplier is not handling it all the same way, then there's more responsibility for the brand side researcher to know more stuff, to know the people. Anyway, that's my 2 cents today.
Well, and all of that is true, but I do want to add a little context. I think it's important because this is where we get into the definitional stuff, right?
Yeah.
As part of that definition is web analytics. Of course, that is internalized. So CX, of course, that is internalized. And they always have been, or not, maybe not always have been, but they certainly have been for years. So, I think the way to think about it, and this is some things that we dig in a little bit in a different way within Grit. And I don't mean a competitive way. I think they are very complementary.
Yeah, of course.
The rule of thumb I have is the more tactical it is, the more it is going to be insourced or automated.
Yep.
Period. And those things that they are synchronistic, right? As automation and AI makes those things easier, they're internalized. And the cost of those things come down. So share of budget either decreases or it goes somewhere else. The more strategic the research is, some portion of that is going to be insourced because companies have the capabilities of doing that. But that is what drives the consultative and full service pieces of the industry.
Yeah.
That expertise is still needed. Same thing with analytics. So the external analytics companies. So it's a misnomer. I
don't worry about semantics. It's live without a net. Use whatever word comes.
Yeah, I just think that it lacks context to say 50% of all spend is internalized.
Yeah.
50% of some spend within and specific functions is internalized.
Yeah.
Absolutely, 100%. But if you look at it as well, as the industry grows, now I think we're at 100 billion for this year's the number, something close to that.
Yeah.
Just a few years ago, the whole damn industry was less than 50 billion.
Yeah.
So we just have to be conscious of the context and of looking at these things, these definitional issues. We need to have nuance and understand what that means and dig a little bit deeper to get to the story of where that's really happening. So, and
get to the story with, again, I keep thinking with my with my supplier side hat on, I keep thinking of get to the story with what's going on in the organizations that you're serving.
Right.
Like, where do they really need your help and expertise, and how can you help them? That's just kind of what I would do with all of that is, what are the conversations that I can have with people that are important to my business that help me understand their business and how they're managing that workload.
Yeah, absolutely. It goes back to the very beginning of the conversation, right? And what Ryan had said in his article. Smart thinking is not going to be replaced.
Yeah.
So doing, that's going to be. I was having a conversation with a friend of mine before this who he just sold his farm, right? And we're talking about the joy of tractors, right? Having technology to do stuff for you is the history of humanity, right? We will always create technology to make odorous tasks easier, whether that is hauling bales of straw on the farm or doing advanced analytics within data. But the ability to figure out, what do I do next, to design, what is the function that I need to focus on? How do I add to? How to create new things? That is the human skill set, and we're not at any point that I see close to eliminating the need for that. And I think it will only continue to grow in importance.
Yeah.
At least
For sure. And I just keep thinking about, the expertise. Sorry, now I'm taking us down another rabbit hole, and it's already 20 minutes. So here we are. But I keep thinking about how the importance of qual right now, and the importance of the, those one-on-one conversations that we need to keep having, those human touch points in our research processes to help balance what AI is kind of putting in front of us as well. And I keep thinking about the execution of that qual, and if the need for that is growing, and are there going to be, internal researchers or researchers on the brand side who either have to up their skills in that space, or really partner well with people who have that skill, because that is something that takes time. It is a time commitment, and so. Anyway, just thinking about their time and how they're going to manage that will be interesting to see if that gets brought more and more in-house, or if that QRCA that I know and love is going to just kind of grow in its need to train up people to help assist.
Yep. Well, so that for a second, it's few bonus minutes since we
bonus minutes. We really should log off at 25.
Yes.
At 25.
Yes.
But
we should.
We'll wrap up in the half an hour. I promise.
The number of qualitative focus companies, primarily kind of qual tech, that debuted within the Grit 50 this year. Never seen that many. Or we're just really ranking up there. So I think that I do think we are entering the golden age of qual. I do think qual is increasingly important across the board, for a variety of reasons that we don't have time to get into right now. It will be interesting to see how much of that is in-sourced. The technology would allow it to be. So, but is the moderation skills, are we going to see those things? I mean, better than anybody that's, clients don't always have great moderators, hence why QRC exists. I mean, just because it's just not the skill set they've been built to.
Full circle. They don't know what they don't know. I feel like that's the other thing, like going back to that part of it, is not everybody knows what they don't know about that particular skill set. And, I heard more than once that people don't know that they're doing it wrong, or they don't know that they are not doing it in a way that can maximize the research that they're doing. So it's they think anybody can talk to anybody. And so anyway, but that's a bandwagon I'm not going to step on right now, even though I just kind of stepped on a little bit.
Sorry. One last quick point that I thought about SMR that we should call out. The conversation on data quality. Big topic. And they did, you mentioned in the beginning, they did bring out the beginning phases of their data quality framework. That's hugely important. This is not a topic that is under the radar anymore. It's great that the industry is seeing it as an existential threat, as they should be. And that's going to continue. Data quality and AI, guys, just get used to it. We're going to be talking about this stuff for a long time.
It's true.
because they're just big topics that
Yeah.
have profound impact on the industry. Good to see SMR taking leadership,
Yep.
along with Insight Association and all of the other ones. Oh,
Like you get
amateur hour. Can you believe that? Can you
That's
believe?
hilarious.
Oh, what an amateur.
Look, one
I
week it's
forgot
the
to-
dog, one week it's the phone.
I know,
I'm just
I
waiting
forgot
for
to
your
turn
wife
my
to come in and
phone
like
off.
knock on the door and say, Lenny.
See, we're off 1 week and I lose all of my discipline. It's like a diet, you know, that I just forgot how to do this stuff. So apologies, guys.
That
all
just
right.
means it's time to go. That's all.
does.
It's
It
time
does.
to wrap up. Super fun. Last week, I do wanted to say, last week we talked about the email, which wasn't really in place yet. So if you tried to email us last week, just email us again next week when we tell you that the email has definitely been set up, because that just hadn't been done yet. And I don't think it's done yet right now. Oh my gosh, you know.
Yes, Tim, that was a landline. I live in rural Kentucky, dude. So yes, I still have a landline. Yes.
Someday Tim and I are going to come and visit you. For those who are listening and don't understand, Tim Lynch is my husband. And he has also been in our industry forever. And so he knows a lot of you very well. But Tim and I should take like a road trip. We should go do that bourbon trail that you told us about.
Yes.
And then we should just like visit, just so Tim can eye roll every 5 minutes at the lack of technology, because I don't think he could handle it really.
I have 0 bars. We have, but the only we'll wrap, but just put this context for you, Tim, since you brought it up. It's your fault. We're going to take another 30 seconds here. 3G network. That's the only, and I have no bars here at my house. The closest 5G tower is 20 miles away. I have DSL for online, for internet connectivity. So welcome to my world.
Yeah, it all just hurt a little bit right there.
Although I've seen Starlink go across twice. So I guess at some point I'll be able to get Starlink.
Oh my heavens to Betsy. All right.
Yeah.
As fun as this is for us, I don't think it's fun for everybody to listen into this particular private conversation with me, you, and Tim. So
yes.
I appreciate everyone's patience. And, you know, Tim, I love you. Lenny, I love you. Super fun. We will see you all next week with whatever happens in the next week. So thank you for listening.
Thanks, everybody. Take care. We'll see you next week, and we'll keep on. We got it right.
Yeah, so. I think we got it right. We just have to. I just love this. Thank you, Patrick. We'll get in there and share the links that we talked about to some of the other things, and we'll just keep fine tuning it. But I'm happy with this iteration, aren't you?
I am too. Yeah, I think this came out good. Give us feedback, guys. I think we got the tech stuff figured out. Now we'll get the format stuff figured out. And it was fun seeing the comments. We'll get better at incorporating that in. Everybody have a fantastic weekend.
Bye, everyone.
All right. Bye-bye.